Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching my content. I really do appreciate it, as you have given me the pleasure and the privilege to talk about the greatest sport in the world, rugby. Not soccer, because we don't play in stadiums built by slaves. That's another conversation. Anyway, this is it, guys. This is the final game of 2022. This is the ultimate game of 2022. And this is the biggest test match for both teams for 2022, as both teams really wanted to finish the season with a win here, as both teams have both struggled for the whole year, not being able to consistently get the wins that their fans truly deserved. And yeah, only one may work out winner this game, unless it's a draw. But yes, this is it, guys. This game has been making headlines, believe it or not, since last year, as he had fallen out of the so-called World Rugby allocated Autumn Nations test period, despite the fact that it's still November. So yeah, as a result, the South Africans were not able to use a lot of their players that is based in Europe. So yeah, this is pretty much a traditional, not a traditional, the Japanese, some of the Japanese players will still able to play, but this is a more of a traditional style of a South African team, where most of the team is based in South Africa. And yeah, this will be a team that is slightly weaker than what the Springboks could potentially conjure against England. But with that being said, this is still an incredibly strong team. And yeah, going into this game, the England side, obviously, with that miracle draw against the All Blacks last week, miracle in Twickenham, draw against the All Blacks, you know, scoring 3 tries in less than 10 minutes to draw the game was pretty impressive. But nobody was happy, because everybody felt England should probably push for the win with one last play, you know, that was available before Marcus Smith kicked the ball out. But yeah, it's understandable, the tremendous amount of pressure that England was under to kick the ball out. With that being said, the Springboks has their own issues to deal with as well. So the Rassie Erasmus has been issued a 2-week ban, so he will not be attending this crucial match that his team really kind of needs him there for against England at Twickenham. So before we get into the lineup, let's have a look at the history. Both teams has met each other 44 times, 16 wins by England, 24 by South Africa, 2 draws overall. Most recent times has been much closer for both teams. So last year, despite this, it was a really close affair. I felt England got a bit lucky right at the end with a bit of rolled the dice a little bit with a few high balls that rolled to, you know, basically rolled out in their favor, with Siya Khaleesi giving it a penalty. And yeah, as a result, England squeaked out a win, 27-26. They rolled the dice, they got the win. And before that, it was the Rugby World Cup, where South Africa convincingly dominated England. And this is, again, kind of like what's going to be the big battle. It's going to be replicated here once again, as the South Africans really dominated England up front in their 4-pack. This week, once again, that will be the crucial battlefield for both teams, especially England's performance last week against the Springboks up front was not very convincing by any means. So yeah, that's the battle for both teams once again going into tomorrow. The weather on the weekend could be potentially a little bit wet, but should be okay. There's been a bit of rain throughout the week, but on Saturday it should be dried up. Bit cloudy, so maybe a little bit of a moisture on the ground, but overall there shouldn't be too much of an issue for either teams. The referee is going to be Angus Gardner. He's an Australian referee, and yeah, I think he's the best referee from Australia, period. And regardless of what you say, he's very good. And he, you know, the one good thing about Angus Gardner is it's very unlikely that we're going to see a red card in this game. Yeah, we might see yellow cards, we might see, you know, some absorbing tackles, but I do think Angus Gardner has a very level head, and he will not be, you know, sending out red cards like you would expect. So yeah, we won't be, you know, it's very unlikely that this game will be ruined by a red card, which is something that everybody wanted to see. We want to see a huge match. Like I said, going into this test match, the English performance has been on and off. In the Six Nations, England had a pretty poor run overall. The one test match England really did perform well, I thought, was against Ireland. They were one man red carded early in the game, so they were down a lock for basically the entire match for like 80% of the match, and they were able to hold out Ireland all the way till the last 10 minutes or so before the reserves came on and cost England the game. But I thought a performance like that was very similar to what they did last week against New Zealand, where last 10 minutes against New Zealand, where England really started to show some flowy rugby, show some guts, show a lot of, physicality, especially up front. And that physicality carried England forward to, come back for that draw against New Zealand. Something that if England has failed to do consistently against most of their opponents. Another really important test was England against Australia in July, the third test. England had a lot of injuries in that test, and again, the forward fronting up the physicality, McIlvin and Pola in that test was tremendous, and really just bringing that forward physicality has saw England a lot of success, and this weekend is probably the biggest test for their four-pack. If they wanted to have any chance of winning the Rugby World Cup next year, this is the end. They have to bring that physicality, bring that mongrel up front to try to, counter the Springboks forwards. So the Springboks obviously had an on and off inconsistent season as well. They lost the first time against Wales at home. They lost a close test against New Zealand in that second test at home as well after winning the first one. Again, they lost the test that probably shouldn't have been lost against the Wallabies in that first test, and then they kind of got themselves in a bit of a winning streak before losing to the number 1 and number 2 team in the world, Ireland and France. Last week, the Springboks played tremendously in the second half. The Springboks really kicked into another gear as well, something that have not been done since the Rugby World Cup, probably even a few more games before the Rugby World Cup. Is the Springboks' ability to utilize the width of the field and really show that flowy attacking rugby. A lot of the Springboks fans thinks that's to do with Manny Lebok coming onto the field, but we shall see. He's on the bench once again this game. We shall see if that will make a difference in the second half, like it did against Italy. So some really interesting stats I thought came out of the recent performances from the Springboks. One stat that I really wanted to show everyone is just how good Willie le Roux has been for the Springbok team in terms of becoming a playmaker. His move from the fullback position, slotting himself into the attacking line as an extra playmaker again and again and again for the Springboks. Ironically, this is something that the All Blacks wanted to do with Jordie Barrett, just telling him to, a lot of the pundits want Jordie Barrett to slot into the attack line from the 15 position. But instead, now they just have him permanently, it seems like, moving into the 12 jersey, just the better option. But yeah, this is basically something that the All Blacks wanted to do, but Willie le Roux has really, brought something special to the Springboks team, and it's just like very, very beautiful to watch. Something that's very unique as well, and something that's really difficult to deal with. Having that extra playmaker on the field that is making the Springbok attack line a lot more unpredictable than you would expect. So some interesting stuff that you want to see here is that Willie le Roux, 21 passes from the fullback position. I mean, he's not a fullback when you have 21 passes. That is a 5'8". He did more passes than Damien Willemse against France, and he did more passes except for Vav de Klerk, because obviously he's a 9. He is actually a playmaker at the fullback position. Obviously, 72 run meters, just outrageous run meters as well. Only one slightly more is curling Arinsa. And then the other test against Italy, again, clear move in terms of strategy for Willie le Roux. 26 passes, more than Damien Willemse once again, who's the actual number 10. In fact, more than Damien Willemse and Lebok as well, who came on in the second half. So, yeah, really impressive stuff for Willie le Roux. And he's able to, again and again, setting up his wingers for tries, creating space out wide with a bit of a kicking game behind as well, making the game really unpredictable for the opposition to read. So, yeah, a lot of the criticism for Willie le Roux early in the year, late last year aside, he's really brought something special and new for the Springbok team. Overall, the Springboks, in terms of the performance overall from the, let's go to the summary. Overall, the Springboks against Italy, the tackle count is probably not good. The penalty count is okay. again, the set piece is not as clinical as Springboks like to be, especially with the scrummaging, losing a scrum against Italy, albeit like a technical scrum penalty that they lost, not really ideal position for the Springboks to be in. Against France, quick look at the summary as well. I think with the French game, the penalty count is okay, but the set piece, 3 lineouts lost, again, something that the Springboks, especially how much you rely on the forward dominance, is something that they don't want to be a position to be in against any team in the world. So England against New Zealand, like I said, this is basically a game of two halves. Despite the lack of, the lack of dominance in scrummaging for England, the New Zealand scrums weren't quite spectacular either. But mostly the England lost in the physicality at the breakdown, it looked like. And which led to England really struggling for most of the game. Also, the penalty count was quite high for England, something that they really need to keep that under control against the Springboks. In terms of player stats, England, so something interesting as well. So obviously, if you look at the stats, the English reserves pumped out ridiculous stats despite only being on the field for like 30 minutes or less than 30 minutes. So Mako Vunipola, Will Stewart scoring 2 tries coming onto the field. Just, like the physicality like these forwards brought for England, this is kind of like the key that they need to do for the entire match. The English reserves really did a lot more work than the starting pack from the looks of it. So, as you can see, Mako Vunipola, as a reserve prop, had more run meters than Tuilagi. I'll talk about Tuilagi in a minute in the lineups. So overall, the lineups has been a little bit of shuffle around for both teams. Most of the changes for the Springboks are on the bench because their players has been moved. A lot of the players are not available for play. England has shuffled the players around a little bit as well. So from the get-go, the English 4-pack has opted for, like I said, Mako Vunipola, the really strong finisher from last game, has been promoted to the starting position. Whether or not this is an attempt to counter to have the starting prop to counter the so-called the bomb squad, if that's the logic there, or is this an actual promotion from Billy Vunipola? Not sure, but this will be a really, really tough test for Mako Vunipola, because Mako has not been in his form since 2019. So we have to see. He's not really, like, scrummaging hasn't been that great for him. Last week was a bit of an outlier, and we have to see if he's going to be able to seize this opportunity to solidify himself once again as a premier starting number 1. Jamie George comes off the bench in number 2 position once again. Jamie George has always been really good for England. I don't know why Eddie Jones always puts him on the bench, because I do think Cowan Dickey is in this. I don't know. Eddie Jones does think that Cowan Dickey is slightly better, but personally, I feel Jamie George is just overall a little bit more reliable. I do think that Cowan Dickey sometimes makes give away penalties, bit more penalties than Jamie George. A very minor difference in terms of in that regard, but I do think I always felt Jamie George is the better hooker for England. Kyle Sinclair retains number 3 jersey. Again, Kyle Sinclair has not been performing, in my opinion, especially when it comes to the scrummaging and it comes to his attacking, attacking ball. He carries. I do think that he was a lot better in 2019 when it comes to both scrummaging and attacking. He just doesn't seem nearly as impactful as he was before. I don't know what's going on with Sinclair, but again, this is going to be really tough for him. For his up against Ox Nche, a guy that I'm starting to feel like probably deserved to be one of the best, if not the best, loose head props in the world at the moment. He's so clinically good. He's good against many people believe that the best props in the world. He's good. He absolutely destroyed the French scrum in some sense, and then he continued to show his assertive dominance against Ireland. I really felt this guy is the best loose head prop in the world that no one's really talking about. And this weekend, he gets a chance to show that against Sinclair. Because Sinclair, with his current form, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a struggle against Nche, especially in that scrummaging. Nche is, he's not very tall. He's just extremely technical, extremely strong. And this is going to be tough for the English 4-pack for Sinclair to deal with. Now, Bungi Bunabi has returned from injury, has just been building his Been a really good addition to the Springboks team. He showed last week against against Italy that he has carry game. He can run the ball as well. Something we saw a little bit last year, but he truly managed to crash through and score a try with just, physical strength, which was really, really good. Frans Malherbe, the tight head prop, I feel like the best tight head prop in the world at the moment. Again, everything he does, nothing fancy, it's just brutal, upfront, technical, and I don't know what, people tend to overrate props for their, ability to score tries. You don't really need any of that. You just need to be good at set piece, to be good at scrummaging, and Frans Malherbe is the best in the world at both. And I think this is again Makovina Pola in his current form. This is gonna be a really big challenge for him to deal with this weekend. In the lock positions, this is a really interesting matchup as well. Mario Itoje and Johnny Hill, two of the probably most, I would say probably the best locks in the Six Nations at the moment, just in terms of how good they are all around the park. Mario Itoje almost plays like a loose forward as well. Johnny Hill has been very clinical for the English side and brings a lot of size as well for the size and physicality for the English team. For the Springboks, the best lock in the world, Ibn Esbeth, gets caught off on the bench after, like last week, was just such a huge stark contrast between the first half and the second half. The set piece was struggling, and everything looked messy at the breakdown. And once Ibn Esbeth came on in the second half, all of that rustiness, all of that clunkiness out of the four pack is immediately gone. Ibn Esbeth is by far the best lock in the world. He's so good. And Mario Itoje, this will be another interesting battle because Mario Itoje has been known to do a little bit of backhanded shenanigans in the lineouts and stuff. Whether that's gonna work against Ibn Esbeth or not, nobody's gonna know. But yeah, this will be a really interesting battle to see in the lineouts. Marvin Orie, on the other hand, has, in my opinion, lacked a little bit for the Springboks. His like accuracy is a bit low, and I do feel like his technique needs to be worked on a little bit. I don't think he's he's not likely gonna be receiving many of the lineouts this weekend. In my opinion, I think they're probably just going to do Ibn Esbeth and Franco Mostert as the receivers. Alex Coles gets called into the squad at number 6 position for England blindside. Again, Alex Coles, Eddie Jones really likes to have that extra lock in the blindside position just to counteract the Springboks extra lock in the blindside in the form of Franco Mostert. And in fact, Eddie Jones has been favoring a lock in that number 6 jersey for a very long time now. Last week was a bit of an exception, and again, Eddie Jones is going back to his new way of structuring the English 4-pack. Isia Khaleesi is the open side flanker for the Springboks, and as well as captain. He's tremendously good at the breakdowns, and also he's a good ball runner, carries the ball quite well. Tom Curry gets number 7 jersey for the open side flanker position. Tom Curry, physical, dominant in the breakdowns. I do feel like these days he's not really bringing that breakdown dominance as much as he used to, so it's something that he needs to be improved. Franco Mostert last week was tremendous. He was basically, the lineouts were struggling a little bit, and he became like, kept everything, kept the ship intact for the first half. Really showed that experience that he brings to the team. So he's in the blindside flanker position, and he will be, and most likely, the second lineout receiver for the side. Probably the primary lineout receiver, considering that England's probably going to target Ibn. So Franco Mostert will most likely receive most of the lineout throws. At number 8 position, Billy Vunipola. I spoke really highly about Billy last week. I do think that he is not as clean. Whilst he does bring a lot of energy, a lot of really high work rate, and a lot of that physicality that Eddie Jones is looking for, he's not really, he's not very accurate and not very clinical at the moment. He seems to give away a bit too many penalties at the breakdowns that I think Eddie Jones will probably want him to tidy up a little bit. Evan Roos finally getting his first start for the Springboks. A lot of fanfare for this guy. He's a young guy, 22 years of age, and still got a huge way to go ahead of him. So in the back line, Jack Van Poortvliet retains the number 9 jersey, surprisingly, despite his horrendous game last week against the All Blacks. He got charged down, he got sacked, he got knocked on. His throw intercept pass, which led to a try, as bad as it can possibly get for a number 9. And he gets the number 9 jersey once again, showing a lot of confidence by Eddie Jones for him. The one thing that is noticeable for Jack Van Povier is the fact that he is a lot faster at the breakdowns over Ben Youngs. So that is something that Eddie Jones definitely wants, having someone a bit faster at the breakdowns, a bit faster around the park to bring that agility, to bring that quick decision making for the team. Faf de Klerk gets the number 9 jersey once again. He's probably going to be the goal kicker. He has been pretty good for the Springboks, 100% pretty much, I think, for goal kicking for the Springboks. And I think most likely he'll be doing the goal kicking until Manny Labok comes on in the second half. Number 10, Marcus Smith had a tremendous second half. I was actually thinking that Marcus Smith would be going to 12 this week, because last week it was pretty noticed. I've noticed I've noticed that Marcus Smith was actually at 12 in the second half, because Owen Farrell kind of like hurt his leg, and then he was limping a little bit. It wasn't able to kick the goals, and as a result, Owen was much tighter around the play. So Marcus was actually shuffled out to 12, and that really gave him a lot more space to work with, making those line breaks, and really, carved up the All Blacks defense quite a bit in that second half. And Eddie Jones came out and said that was Marcus Smith's best performance in his career so far for England. So I was surprised that they didn't just make that a permanent change this week and just put Owen back at 10 and have Marcus at 12. I do think that Owen is a bit too slow for the 12 jersey, and he don't really have the physical dominance like Damien Dielendi to break the gang line. So I thought this was an interesting, just keep Marcus at 10. So maybe they will swap him around in second half again. We'll see how that goes. Damien Willemse, another guy he's again gets the number 10 jersey. He has been, his performance with number 10 has been a pass at best so far. I thought he started really well for the Springboks. At the moment, a lot of the, like I've showed you on the stats, a lot of the attacking is revolved around Willie Leroux. So Damien Willemse almost plays like a center out of the 10 jersey a lot of the times, and not really doing those, playmaking as you would expect from a typical 10. At number 11, Johnny May was tremendous last week, especially in the second half. He was able to make line breaks again and again and again. One thing I did feel like Johnny May, he seemed to self the ball a bit. Just pass the ball, mate. You've done all the hard work. You don't have to score a try every time you make a line break. Just pass. So many times, Johnny May makes the line break, and then he has players around him, and he's just not making that pass, that offload to get his team through. And something that if Johnny May can do this week will be a huge, danger on the field for the Springboks. Marco Zulema-Pimpi gets called back into that 11 jersey. He had a break last week, and his return to the 11 jersey. We shall see how he goes. And he brings a bit of a physicality as well, brings that size and speed back into the 11 jersey. He's definitely a lot bigger than Cheslin Kobe or Curly Alensa, that is for sure. Number 12, like we mentioned, Eddie Jones really likes this play style, having a second playmaker at number 12 instead of a traditional style crash ball runner like Damien Dielendi is. Damien Dielendi really just brings that physicality, just likes to pummel you both with dominant tackles and carries. And Owen Farrell, more of a playmaker out of the 12 jersey. I really feel, I don't know how I feel about this. I think Owen Farrell, to be honest, not a great 12, much better 10. Just the fact that he should be a playmaker at 12, but he plays like a board runner, right? Imagine, trying to play like he's Sonny Bill Williams, but he don't possess the skills that Sonny Bill Williams brings. So he's just like a worse version of just like really bad 12. But he's not actually making those plays that he's supposed to out of the 12 jersey at the moment. So I'm still really up in the air about Owen Farrell at 12. I do feel like even have Marcus Smith at 12, who will actually operate as a playmaker, will be a much better option for me for this point. Number 13 jersey, Milo Tuilagi. Like I said, I'm not very impressed by his performance. Like I showed you the stats just before, he had fewer run meters than Marco Vinipola coming off the bench as a loose set prop. Yeah, I thought he was really poor last week, and I thought it was poor the week before as well. Sorry, not week before. The week against Argentina where they lost. I don't know why he's selected at 13. I know, a lot of fan fascination about him, but he's not good. He's not good. One thing last week he did, I really got like angry. There was a loose pass inside the All Blacks 22 by Richie Mo'unga, and it was kind of like rolling towards the sideline. He could have just scooped it up and passed the ball. There was an overlap to I think it was Jack Noel on the sideline, but he had an extra person on the sideline. He could have scooped it up, but instead he decided to soccer kick the ball, like without picking it up. Try to soccer kick the ball to the winger, and obviously it goes straight out. And he was just like laughing, like ha 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 ha. Yeah, bad luck. I was angry. I was legitimately angry. As a professional player in a test match, that's not what you do. That was a try scoring opportunity squandered, especially at that time. England was down 3 tries. Okay, the game was not over. There was still England still could, it still had plenty of time to come back, and that was a really crucial point where England needed to score that. He just kicked it away. I was so angry by that. And again, I showed you the stats. His stats are not that good. His stats are horrendous. How can you, as a center, have fewer round meters than Mako Vunipola coming off the bench as a tight end prop, as a loose air prop, and fewer carries? Vunipola had more carries than him. How? I don't get it. It's horrendous, right? 3 missed tackles. I don't know what else I'm gonna say. How is this guy selected? I don't know. 5 tackles, how? That is horrendous. Out of 5 tackles made in a center, in outside center position, you can't have 3 missed tackles. That's ridiculous. That's insane. Especially when you only had to make 5 tackles. I honestly don't know why this guy was selected. After the match, I thought it was pretty bad. But after looking at the stats, I know he's bad. I don't know why he's selected. So Jesse Krill returns to number 13 jersey for the Springboks, and he is he's decent. A lot of people don't think he's that good. I think he's decent. He does everything that Rassie wants him to do, especially when it comes to challenging the high ball. He plays almost like an extra winger. So yeah, I don't know. A lot of people don't like the way he plays because he's instructed to play like a winger, but I don't mind the way Jesse plays. Overall, he does exactly what the Springboks want him to do in the kicking game. As part of the kicking game, Tommy Freeman gets caught into the number 14 jersey for England once again. Tommy Freeman had pretty poor start to his test career, losing to the Barbarians in that embarrassing test in July. But then he ended up winning 2 tests against Australia. So we shall see how he goes against the Springboks in the number 14 jersey. And on his opposite number is Curly Arensa, 2 of the best wingers in the world at the moment, Arensa and Pakazula Mapimpi. So it's gonna be difficult for Tommy Freeman to match up against these players. Curly Arensa last week was absolutely spectacular, just superhuman performance. I think he scored about 2 or 3 tries last week, and it really showed why he was selected ahead of Makazolo Mapimpi in that 2 weeks in a row now for that winger jersey position. Yeah, really impressive guy. And a fullback position, Freddie Stewart, the best fullback in the world at the moment. But, a big but, Villaroo, the style Villaroo brings at the moment, I've already talked about him. It's absolutely beautiful to watch, sublime rugby. So, I actually don't know if Freddie Stewart could be considered the best fullback in the world at the moment, considering how good Villaroo is at the moment. So, 2 completely different styles. Freddie Stewart, really good on the high ball, sure. But Villaroo really adds that extra bit of a spice that you are looking for out of an international test team that could win you potentially the World Cup. In the bench, Luke Dickey gets moved down to 16, Ellis Genji number 17, and Will Stewart, the guy who scored 2 tries coming off the bench, gets a number 18 jersey. This is the finisher for the Eddie Jones that I really like. Ellis Genji and Luke Dickey, both really good ball runners, and Ellis Genji is voted to be the best loose air prop in the world at the moment. So yeah, he's got something to prove this weekend against the bomb squad essentially for the Springboks. Luke Dickey, like I said, I feel like he has been great for Eddie Jones. But I do think that he's a little bit less clinical compared to Jamie George. But we shall see. As a finisher, I think he's a really, really good selection here at number 16 jersey. Up against Malcolm Marx, the best finisher in the world, best hooker in the world. And we'll have to see. Many think that he's the best hooker in the world, but I think Sumasani Takeyaku is. That's another discussion. Next to him, Steven Kitsov gets number 17 jersey, as always. And Thomas du Toit, the huge, I think he plays the Sharks. The huge South African comes in at 136 kilograms, gets a tight heel proposition. And this will be quite a physical battle off the bench in the second half. Dave Ribbons comes in at number 19 once again for England after debuting last week. Marco van Staden gets recalled to the Springboks side. He hasn't played at all for the Springboks in 2022. He had a rough, few games against the Australians last year, which led him to get dropped, and then he hasn't returned till today. So Michael van Staden is it's a decent player. I think he did start against the Lions, so he's no slouch. But coming off the bench, something that I'm looking forward to see once again. Sam Simmons gets dropped down from 6 to number 20 jersey. Most likely he will be playing as an 8, I think, this weekend. Not likely they were going to put him at the blindside flanker again. We shall see where he goes. But it's a pretty good matchup on the other side in the forms of Quagga Smith. Both players are really agile breakdown specialists and brings a lot of physicality on the field. And interesting to see how this is going to match up. In the reserve number 9 position, Ben Youngs comes in at 21 for England. Jaden Hendrickson gets returned for number 21 for the Springboks. There was a period of Hendrickson. Looks like he was gonna be the starting premier number 9 before Faf start taking over once again. But Hendrickson gets another opportunity to try to redeem himself and get himself in the favors of Rassi Rasmus in the number 9 jersey, coming off the bench at number 21. Number 22, Henry Slade for England, and Manny LeBlanc will once again see how he goes this weekend against England. If that last week's performance was that a fluke against Italy, or is he going to be able to deliver that again against a much more clinical opponent this weekend against England? We'll have to see. Finally, number 23, Jack Knoll gets shifted down to the bench, and Caden Moody, another super dangerous high ball specialist. He's the guy that destroyed Australia, I guess, in the Rugby Championship, and then it was not able to get a selection at all until today because of how stacked the Springbok wingers has been. So Kenan Moody gets returned to number 23, and that's the final selection. That's the lineup. This is a difficult game to select. I do think that the Springboks gonna win it up front. The England 4-pack has not been managed to front up the physicality for the whole year, but if England really wanted if England really put a performance like they did against Ireland and then try to finish off like they did against New Zealand, then this could be an upset. But I don't think that's very it's possible. It's entirely possible. This is not a guaranteed win for the Springboks. So I do think that this is going to be really close. So my predictions, it's a draw. Thanks for watching, guys.